So, hello and welcome back to the Inkyapper Podcast, a podcast by Team Arcana. I am Vo, back as host this week. With me, I have Nate and both Youngs this week. How's everybody doing?
Doing awesome as usual. Pretty happy to be back podcasting with you guys and ready to talk some Disney Arcana for sure.
Absolutely. I'm happy to be here. I think Mega Raichu X is better than Mega Raichu Y. How do you feel, Hannah?
Well, I feel great. I feel great not knowing what's happening.
Good.
Dude, this sounds like a Pokemon reference, but like I have no clue what we're talking about or why. But I'm gonna go with.
I know.
Well, no, X. X is better, not Y.
I'm gonna go with X is better because X is just a cooler letter. But I have no skin in this game.
Really?
Nah, I see all the news dropping, and I just feel like mega victory bells. That's how I feel.
You feel like you don't enjoy Mega Victory Bell, or you feel like Mega Victory Bell is what you said. That's wild.
Exactly. But all right, we unfortunately due to some stuff we missed 1 week of our podcast last week, but it's okay. We got so much news to catch up on. So many events happened during this hiatus of ours. So we're gonna start off with CCS. And the reason why we have both Youngs on, aside from the fact that they're just, they're team members and they're awesome, they went out to the event. So I'm going to leave it on to you guys before we look at the deck list and have you guys talk about how your event went at CCS.
Yeah, I'll start off. First of all, CCS was a hit, honestly. It was the first of their 25K invitational series that we had the great opportunity to go to. This was our second CCS that we've gone to. Before was a good time. This one was huge. It's hard to imagine when I was going there, knowing that it was going to be about 500 people or so, 450, 500. When the last CCS was I think the biggest one we had gone to previously was in Set 7, and that was, I believe, the biggest one at the time. And then this one just dwarfed it completely. They have this. Because I don't know if you guys have ever been to CCS before, but you have. You were there with us, and I'm not sure if you knew this, but did you know that there was a second floor to that place that that had chairs and tables set up there? There's so many tables that needed to be the bottom half of the players or the tables would go up and play upstairs, which was a weird benefit to doing poorly. Because that meant you get to play upstairs where there was way better AC and air up there.
Yeah, and there were so few people in it too that just made it cooler.
It was nice.
It was really nice up there.
Yeah, but the event was great. Packed as can be. For the main event, I was struggling on what to play all the way up to the day of. And I was going to play green-blue, but I pivoted last second to a kind of a pet deck that I was having some good success early on with, but then as I always do with a deck that I have great success early on, I start to do poorly with it, because always. And then I'm just going to run it with this. If I get the blue matchups, because I expect a lot of blue-green and a lot of blurple at this event, if I hit those matchups, I'll do really well because I have an amazing matchup into those with this deck. It was a purple steel burn list, so it basically, it's kind of similar to the Amethyst Ruby burn deck that top 8'd the Seattle DLC, where you use Chromacon and all these burn cards to play this more aggressively slanted game plan. It had an amazing blurple matchup, really, really great blurple matchup, but struggled more into the steel decks that just, were a little bigger, right? Originally, I didn't have Calhouns, I had Nalas in the deck, and I tried to hedge the day of the event to make it a little bit better into steel, which I put a couple strengths in there, put some of the Calhouns in. It was definitely I didn't sleep well the night before, and it was a lack of sleep, bad decisions on a lot of fronts. I shouldn't have played this. I shouldn't have made the last minute changes. So I ended up.
The sun was in your eye, and
yeah, exactly. Yeah, sun was in my eye.
At least you didn't have food poisoning, right?
No food poisoning, thankfully, just mental poisoning, which is staring at this abomination of a deck. I ended up doing okay in the beginning. I was 2-0, I played against an Amber Steel deck, which I'd beaten, and then I played against Derek Tuso, hilariously, a Minnesota local. I played him, I crushed him, and then I lost the next 3 rounds in a row. Ironically, my next round I lost was to Blurple, where the changes I had made, I put more Uninkables in my deck, which is what really killed me. I had a mull 7 in 2 out of the 3 games because I got no 1-drops, and then I got all Uninkables in both those games. So I'm like, oh, I'm dead. Super dead, unfortunately. And then I ran into Purple Steel 2 more times after that, which was another just not a good matchup for me. So I think if I had won round 3, I was in a really good spot to like continue doing well into the other blue decks, assuming my deck didn't fail me like it did there. But it was a super chutsy deck and not something I should have brought to the main event. But that's okay. That's okay. Should have played green blue.
It's kind of crazy. I'm looking at the list right now. You're at 16 Uninkables, like that you bricked 7 Uninkables into your mulligan is kind of crazy sounding already.
It was more hyperbole. It wasn't exactly a full 7.
Gotcha.
So it was more like 5.
Gotcha. Which is still, okay.
Which is
that makes
basically 7. Yeah, it's still like 100.
Yeah.
There's one game where like I even Chromacon twice into 2 more Uninkables when I needed 1 more ink, and it was like the most devastating I've ever felt in my life.
Oof.
Like there was days that my daughter said she didn't love me, and that hurt less than when I drew that many Uninkables off of Chromacon.
Yeah, I can imagine that.
As a former Ruby Amethyst player who would mull into genies and be prepareds all the time, I understand the pain for sure. Just like a pile of them in your opener, so I can see that.
Yep.
With a deck like this, I'm kind of curious if the Chromacon helped you a lot, like push through. Like usually, what I find with the aggro decks is you get to like that 14 lore point, and you kind of, if they've stabilized enough, you get stuffed. How did this feel like specifically on the draw, like compared to like other aggro decks? Was this able to push through some of those types of situations, or was it still just like,
It's still
I get to 14 or I get to 20,
on the draw? It was actually less like you just you like couldn't close out the game very well on the draw. It was actually most of the problem. The most problem was you would actually get overwhelmed on the board too easily because your aggressively slanted stuff is like if you look at this deck, other than Nala, everything, and Mr. Arrow, everything is just like quests for only 1, right? So, and if they play a 4-drop guy, it's probably just bigger than every guy in your deck, unfortunately. And so that was like the biggest problem, was that like on the draw, like you just lost board presence too quickly. The Chromacons and like the burn cards helped you close the games out really well, but it was actually like the early game that you missed way more than like the late game compared to other aggro decks. So it's like it still struggled, but for a different reason. So that was interesting. That's where like the Calhouns, I think, were like a weird double-edged sword. Where I wanted the aggressive card, I wanted the aggressive Nala on the play against like Blurple, because Calhoun is just not a great card against Blurple. And then the Calhoun was like okay into Steel, but like it kind of just like never mattered anyway, because like if I played Calhoun on the draw into another Steel deck, they're just always just gonna have better guys anyway, so it just like doesn't matter. So I should have just dropped the Calhouns completely and went for Nala. And this is actually like a great testament to like deck theory, where like you should not make your best matchup worse to make your worst matchups a tiny bit better, which is what I tried to do last minute. And it's a terrible thing. No one ever really succeeds when they do that, I would say, in deck building, especially in Arcana. You really have to play to your strengths of your deck, which my strength was that I was ungodly good into the blue decks, and by adding Calhouns and like random,
and taking out the fairy ships. The fairy ships were really good against Blurple.
They're so good. Yeah, ironically, they were like unbelievably good. And they were really good in the blue green because like it was a character that couldn't get reckless, right? Which is like a big problem against like John Silver. So if I were to redo everything, I would drop the Calhouns, I would drop the strengths, I would play 4 fairy ship, 4 Nala, and maybe like, I don't know, 2 genies or something, to something else.
Maybe like Pete,
something else that
could be a good option too. I don't know if you wanted to go that. Like I've seen a lot of decks, Steel decks lately, kind of pivoting towards like Pete and trying to deal with all the blue-green shenanigans that I'm sure we'll talk about in a little bit here.
Honestly, I would do Treasure Guardians because there's 8 illusions, and you like Genie was sucked because he was like an uninkable, but Treasure Guardian is an inkable. That's still a quest for 2, so I would have done that instead. So we got some line. I think it's actually like a really cool. It's a cool rogue deck still. I think, but I think in a 9-round event of 400 plus people, I would not play this. But if you were like, the deck is also unbelievably cheap. So if you were like a budget player that wanted a deck that was like really good into people that like bought a bunch of Dumbos, like this would be the deck. And
Your deck is less expensive than their entire, or than their one Dumbo.
Yeah, I could afford this whole deck or one Dumbo. Honestly, it is actually incredible. Yeah. So it's something cool I plan to keep messing around with in the future.
All right, and then Hannah was also competing in there. Let's take a look at the deck that she played. All right, Hannah, tell us about this.
All right. So this is the deck that I made. I was going into the impression, obviously, Blurple is very good at this point. But I was under the impression that because Blurple was so good, that we would see a lot of aggro decks. And so this is why I hate losing to aggro. And so I really built my deck to say I'm just not going to lose to aggro. So that's where I came about. Turns out it was probably like a week too early for me to switch to this type of deck. I think it would have been better in Denver and not so good in CCS, but that's what happened. I do really like this deck for like aggro matchups. It's amazing into it. I will say that I ended up getting paired against several blue decks as well. I was able to beat a Blurple player.
You won round one.
I won round one, yeah. I was able to beat the Blurple player, but it just came down to whether I got Clarabelle early-ish or not. And I did in the first game, and then later on I started getting paired up against other blue decks, and you could definitely tell that I did not have the little Clarabelle to shift early onto it. And I also, and this is probably the worst part about the deck for CCS, was I didn't have You're Welcome or Mother Knows Best at all in this deck. And so against Blurple players or other blue-green players, I just didn't have enough spot removal for things. And I think that's why I kind of pittered out a little bit at the end.
Yeah.
So,
you didn't see your matchup that you were really hoping.
No, I did not see the matchup I was looking for, which happens sometimes for sure. But like I should have, let's see, if I went back and did it, I would just make it so that it would be better into Blurple and better into green blue. I played, I believe it was round 2, I played another green blue list that was clearly teched for Blurple and green blue, and it just smushed me.
Yeah.
Because they had Mother Knows Best, You're Welcome, all these cards, and my deck just couldn't do anything against it. So
yeah, they just did the song thing.
Yeah, I do think that this list is still good, but just for a different type of meta. Definitely, if you're going for beating all the Amber Steel decks, this would do it almost every time.
Yeah.
But
because like in the first week of like playing set 9, we played in the Waffle Maker event.
Yeah.
And you played this
very
deck.
Similar, yeah.
Yeah, and this deck creamed every Amber Steel deck in this room, and that was like 75% of the room was not Amber Steel.
Yes.
And you destroyed them because this deck was so well built for that. But it was just kind of a different point in the metagame, unfortunately.
Yeah. I was hoping the meta would change faster than it did.
Yeah.
Kind of a thing. So
I think blue green's like really
one step ahead.
It's like
was that it?
I was gonna say I think blue green's really interesting for that because like you could it's a deck where you can definitely tell this is sort of earlier in the format built.
Yeah.
And then I think your list that the other list you played, you'll be able to see that like it's a little bit more different for the format. I think that's a kind of a cool piece of like gameplay that you get to look at when it comes to these styles of decks. Is like this is like you can see like the areas that you teched more and what in like you said what you would change. So I think that's pretty interesting. That's kind of the cool thing about blue green, especially right now, is you can you have the ability to kind of beat whatever you feel like beating. A little bit like my old favorite Ruby Amethyst, whereas like you kind of get to beat people in deck building if you want to, a little bit.
Yeah.
Which is kind of a nice thing about the deck.
Yeah, so
that's a good way to put it.
I was at that event before where you played blue-green prior to set 9 dropping. I'm not seeing any Rapunzels in here. I remember you were super high on that card. So tell us about what happened to that card.
It's just so I was a little bit smart, and I knew that Rapunzel would be bad into Blurple. And so I did change the deck a little bit so that basically I was hoping that against aggro decks, I would hopefully always win. That doesn't always happen, but hopefully. And then Blurple, I wanted to have a chance. So having Clarabelles, Robin Hoods, all of those are new cards that I put in for Blurple specifically.
Yeah, I think your first iteration of this list at that event, the first weekend event, I don't think you even had Clarabelles. Like you were so hard into the aggressive matchup because Clarabelles are very good.
I didn't have Clarabelles, at least not 4 of them.
Maybe 2. They're just like not good in the aggressive decks.
No,
right? They're just like not what they're there for.
Yeah, but after CCS, I went back and I made changes to the deck right away, and I was gonna bring it to the 5K and ended up switching last minute. So.
Yeah, and I ended up playing that deck.
Yeah,
because I really wanted to play it.
Yeah. All right, so how did you end up in the main event? What was your final scoring, Hannah? Because we know where.
I think it was like 2-3. Yeah.
We ended with the same record, I believe.
Yeah.
Like 2-3 or 2-4.
Yeah.
Not amazing.
No.
And then you guys just dropped to go do side events, or?
We dropped in it like dinner, I think. There was some cool side events, but they were kind of expensive. Like there's like only so much side event that I want to invest into.
Yeah.
You know, they had some cool mats, like the Matify mats. They're there.
I think they closed. They had already closed down, or like we're going to close very soon. After we had gotten done with the main event as well, so
I think so. Yeah.
It didn't seem like there was enough time to make it worth it.
Yeah.
Also, but
I needed some Indian food.
Yeah.
After
Did you guys go to? Was that the place that we went to the last time we were at?
Yeah.
That place was so good.
The big like sit down area now that they were working on before. It's pretty. It's still good. It was very delicious.
Awesome. All right, so that's how the main event went for you guys. Let's talk about day 2, the 5K, I believe.
Yeah, 5K for me.
Yeah,
at least.
Yeah.
All right, a little bit different of a list here for you, Christian.
Yep. So this is pretty close to almost actually card for card what I was going to run on the main event, but then I pivoted because I didn't have a whole lot of reps. You were gonna play green blue, and we didn't have I forgot some of the cards, or I didn't have enough cards to like build 2 of them. So we ended up having to kind of hedge a little bit. But this is what I ended up bringing for the 5K, and it felt way better, let me tell you, than the purple steel burn deck. This deck is super, super real. So the most popular deck in the format by far is second star to the right elephant Blurple, and so this deck was really made to beat that. Having cards like You're Welcome and Mother Knows Best to put Elephant back in their hand after they play it is unbelievable. It's the best feeling in the world. And this deck, the deck as a whole just does super, super well into Blurple. I played, let's see, the 5K was 8 rounds. I played Blurple, I think 5 or 6 times out of those 8 rounds. And I went, it was 5 times. I went 3-2 into Blurple. My only losses that day were to Blurple, unfortunately. There's like I've told people this, that like this deck feels like the closest to Steel Song in this metagame than the previous, because this deck has such an unbelievable like high roll of when you have it and you kind of cannot lose. But then your medium games are really medium. You really feel it. But the big difference between, like, I've always hated the medium games of Steel Song. They always feel awful. But the medium games of this deck, I can still play Scrooge on turn 3, which is like, hey, I got that going for me. And every game that I had a medium roll, that I lost or won, it was really from Scrooge just being like huge, right?
Yeah.
Just being some of the best that you can play. I ended up playing against two aggressive decks, two different ones. One dog deck. I played against Habibi, if you know who that is, from Canada. I played against a lot of Canadians actually at the 5K. He was on dogs. Under the Sea was amazing there. And then I played against this really cool Emerald Steel Chromacon deck in the 7th round, where he was like leveraging Chromacon to put Doc and Pete back into his hand. And I swear I thought he was playing Blurple when I first mulliganed and won the dice roll. And I got rolled by Curse Merfolks. Like, not even funny. Like, oh, I'm dead, actually. Oh. Yeah, but I adjusted pretty quickly game 2 and 3. It was a really crazy game 3. Actually, it was a blowout, I think, for me. What happened, but I kept. This is like my favorite card in this list. Ironically, I think is John Silver. I think that card is unbelievably good right now, and it's amazing, like how with no Maui, how good that card feels. On the draw against that aggro deck, I kept a Sail and a John Silver, and threw the rest back, hoping for another Sail. I ended up with another Sail and 2 more John Silvers, and I just like. Just John Silver, and like the game was over. I had him swing 2 Merfolks into me. Like, what are you gonna do?
Feels really nice.
It was incredible. He had like,
feels awesome.
Yeah, he played Chromacon, and it's just like it doesn't matter. You're gonna kill your own guys when you have to attack me.
Yeah.
But no, the deck was great. My 2 losses were to Blurple. I lost to Kendall Burdett's in a decently close set of 3 games. Game 3, I bricked pretty badly on the draw, where the deck just failed me, unfortunately. Drew Mother Knows Best back-to-back when I needed an Inkable, unfortunately. So there was that. And then I lost in my winning into top 8 to Dale Bolito, another really well-known, strong player. He was on Blurple as well. He got me into the games were really close. I kind of medium rolled both those games, unfortunately. Never got to shift Clarabelle or draw a lot of cards off of it or anything like that. So I ended up top 16 at the 5K, which out of a 200 person event, making 13th place, I'm happy. You know, I was really hoping to get into top 8, but I walked away feeling a lot better about my like performance that day than I did the main event sets. That's for sure. So it was good.
So I've done a lot of fight clubbing with this deck afterwards, and it feels quite strong. I think one card you didn't mention a lot, but I've and it's kind of a known quantity now, but it always strikes me as so funny that it's in the deck, because like you wouldn't think about it as the Donald Duck, the gentleman, the perfect gentleman.
Yeah,
that guy
the
is
gentleman
like,
was crazy.
He does so much work at like just like giving this deck like the advantage that you need, because it synergizes so nicely with your Clarabelle and does all this. Like just one of those things that's like, if you told somebody last format this card's going to be playable, they'd probably just look at you and go like, what are you talking about? Like what is this card doing here? But no, that card is great. Man, like, this whole deck has felt like you said, from all of my bit of testing with it, has felt really strong. So I've only made like very minor adjustments. So I liked your performance and I like this deck.
Yeah, honestly, if you enjoyed like red blue in the previous sets, like this is probably like the closest like red blue adjacent deck in the field right now, and I'm a huge fan of it for that reason.
I will say it does have a very polarizing mirror match, though. That's the biggest thing that I've noticed. Especially funny story I've told the whole team about, but actually at our locals, we had a 6-person locals recently, and 5 of the 6 of us were playing green blue. And I was laughing because we were all I felt like we were all that meme. You know that meme of the guy where he's like behind the tree, like about to like slide up or whatever, you know? Yeah, exactly. That was our locals. We all thought we were bringing the spice. And then meanwhile, we were just playing these miserable green-blue mirrors the entire way. And it's just like, you either have like such miserable like Basil on Basil gameplay, or you like snowball people with like Donalds and Scrooges and you just go like, you can't interact. Very cool deck.
Miserable.
Glad was happy to see you perform well with it too. I thought that was really cool, but very cool deck.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, yeah, good stuff, Christian. And then Hannah, you were in the all women's tournament that day. Let's bring up your deck here, and let's have you tell us about your deck and how you performed.
Okay. My biggest mistake was what happened before we started the tournament. So I have these 2 1-drop Captain Hook, the Forceful Duelist. And they were paper deck lists at CCS. And when I was writing my paper deck list, I wrote all of the names, all of the subtests, except for one. And it was Captain Hook, Forceful Duelist. And I just wrote Captain Hook. And because of that, in my, I think it was like fourth round, I ended up getting a deck check. They looked at my list and they said, "Oh, you're going to get a game loss because we have to change your list. It is wrong." And so I got a game loss round 4. And so after that, I was going first, but I had no 1-drops in my starting hand, and I was playing against Blurple. So I lost that game, which just meant I was done. So it was kind of a best of 1 scenario at that point. But as far as everything else, like playing the deck, I enjoyed it more than I've enjoyed, some other decks that are more of the aggro fashion. I, for one, really like Calhoun, even though I know that it's not always the best because it makes your Blurple matchup worse. But I also did not think that there would be that many Blurple players in the women's event. I was a little... what is that called?
You were stereotyping.
I was stereotyping a little bit, yes. It ended up being mostly true, except for the last couple of rounds. The list was really good, though. I thought it was, let's see. I won rounds 1 and 2, and I lost, round 3. Okay. I lost round 3 in a very close game against somebody playing Amethyst Steel, which is definitely a hard matchup. And I definitely felt in that moment that they only won because they played 2 Elsas right in a row, the 5-drop. And then right after those 2 Elsas, they played Belle. And I was at 19 this whole time. So it was close. I definitely think that if I went back and looked at my match, there might have been a time where I could have snuck out another quest, but I couldn't think of a specific time. So we will never know about that. And then, round 5, I ended up winning pretty well. But then I was 4. Oh no, I was 4 and 2. So it must have been round 6. They must have been 6 rounds. So I was 4 and 2. I didn't have the best breakers from the first couple of rounds, so I knew I was pretty much out at that point. But the deck, very good. I liked it.
Awesome. That's good to hear. Another ranch enjoyer is what I'm hearing. So
these are like,
I didn't enjoy it that much.
So I've done a little bit of Amber Steel practice, and I'll say, like, weirdly, same as you, Hannah. As somebody who is not typically an aggro deck enjoyer, I'm a big fan of drawing cards and taking game actions. So like that, aggro is kind of against my religion, really. I personally have actually surprisingly enjoyed these Amber Steel aggro decks. Like there's something about, like, especially if you play like some of the variants that have the Aurora to get the Tiana in play a little bit earlier. Like it feels almost like you're doing like unfair things, like. I spent a lot of time last format playing Peter Pan and a Maui Shark, and it like not the same thing, but it's like we got it at home a little bit, like it definitely feels like that a little bit. So I've actually thoroughly enjoyed these Amber Steel decks as well. Would you make any big changes to this deck if you were gonna play it again? I guess would probably be my biggest question.
Probably in other events. Even though I love Calhoun so much, I would probably take it out for Nala. I think that you just kind of have to make your Blurple matchup as good as possible. But
Oh, I think you just
I
muted
guess
yourself.
it depends on what event and what one I had. I think I could see playing the Aurora, the one drop Aurora also. I did really like playing that. I've played it a little bit since this tournament, and I think the one drop Aurora is really good. Not only because of playing Tiana on turn 2, that's awesome, but even if you don't have that, you can sometimes just cheat out the one drop Mulan for free. And I think that's pretty insane because you can draw and discard if you need to, or you just play 2 guys on turn 2 that cost 3 ink, and it's really good. Yeah. Oh, I think I'd still play Sven, but I did have one game where I lost simply because I was only at 3 ink and I top decked Sven. So I would probably cut him down a little bit to only 2 or 3.
Okay.
It's hard because it's good when it's good, but if you don't have 4 ink, it's really bad.
Well, it's interesting too because a lot of
I don't know.
field decks that have success have also been running Pluto along with some number of Sven.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to see where it's a kind of a high cost card to get to in this deck, right? But sometimes the Pluto can shadow games or the Sven shadow games.
It definitely can, and maybe it's just one of those things where you have to make doubly sure you will get to 4 ink. Especially if you had Plutos and Svens, then 100% all the time you'd be going to 4 ink.
Yeah.
But because really the only things I had was I guess Rhino, but normally you just shift them anyway. You have Rhino and you have Sven. I didn't feel like inking a card to maybe top deck a 4-cost card that's only a 4 of in my deck was worth it.
Yeah.
But
I think that's fair. I mean, you were just trying to, especially against Amethyst Steel, which is what you lost to in that time. You're just trying to push for game.
Yeah.
Right. Every card you ink is 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 lore that you're missing out on, right?
Yeah. I played against a lot of Amethyst Steel in the ladies event.
Very popular.
Very popular.
Yeah.
So
is that another stereotype? I'm just kidding.
Another question I had thought of that I was kind of wondering about, because obviously I haven't been to a big event this format yet. What's the vibe kind of like from other people around? I think online it's really easy to be doom and gloom that we're this is a hard 4-deck format. Do people kind of feel on it, or do they feel pretty okay with things? I mean, I would like to kind of hear what the vibe was like from people. If people were generally stoked about it, or if people were just I'm just playing tournament,
I feel like a lot of the people that I was playing against just really, really did not want to play against Dumbo. Everyone just kept talking about Dumbo, and people were making decisions about what deck they were going to play because it was good into Dumbo. And that's really all I heard from that type of perspective.
I think was that in the main event as well, or mainly the ladies event, would you say that was the case?
I heard it both, but I was also lowered down in the thing a lot sooner. So
see, I kept playing against Dumbo decks.
Yeah.
Most of my 2 events. Yeah, I think for me, I would say that's kind of similar. Usually the people that were playing the Dumbo decks, they were said the format's fine, it's whatever, it's nothing. It's pretty standard format actually for talking from a general TCG experience thing. 3 to 4 decks are pretty common for a metagame to be the kind of centerfold of. Arcana has been kind of a weird unique case where that hasn't always been the case for a couple sets in its history, but I'd say overall the vibes, the overall vibes were quite good all day, I would say. And it's also one of those weird self-fulfilling prophecy type things too, though, where like if you're like doing well and you're at the higher up tables, everyone's naturally in a better mood because they're doing well.
Everybody's
you know?
really excited.
Yeah, everyone's chill. Everyone's like smiling and like, oh, I'm 5-0. What no one's asking what your record
meanwhile,
is.
if your table's triple digits, you're probably gonna get a little bit more like.
Yeah, a little bit, a little saltier.
It's true.
Yeah. It does. Yeah, it just naturally happens a little bit, but we've all been guilty of. I would say.
For sure. For sure.
It is a weird dichotomy.
I have a classic thing of like, if we're in round 3 and we're both like on the bubble of like not making top cut or whatever, or like a set champs or whatever. Somebody asks me how my day is going. I'm like, we're at the same table. Like we both know that this is gonna go to vastly different depending on who wins. That's always the
It's so true.
I say.
That's like how I felt like against Dale Bolito in the last round of the 5K, where it was like I was like excited though, right? Because like one of my favorite things to do when I travel to these events is travel against like high profile players. So Dale Bolito's a super high profile player. Kendall, no, I'm not super high profile. So it was you just like kind of watching their games, you can just like kind of like see the experience of someone that's played a lot of Arcana and gets to like play like winning lines. I would say, like they're making plays that like in the short term don't seem as like super good, or like they're being very patient, but like they're taking opportunities to like try to find the most winning line that they can take every time, right? Like I remember like one of my games against Dale Bolito, he was kind of talking to himself, and there was a point where he said like, I'm just gonna lose if I don't do this, and he like sung second star at a point that he was like super behind, but like he needed to, because he knew like what cards were left in his deck that he had seen, and like he knew if he didn't get like a surplus of removal in that moment, that it was just like not going to be the case. He took a chance, he found it, and he ended up winning that game and making it onto top 8, second seed actually. So he was on the play the rest of the event, which was pretty sweet. Fun fact: that event, they never split somehow. They played the whole way. Like the finals was at like midnight, like an unbelievable experience.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Definitely.
Wild. Dude, the moment that I get a chance to get some sort of prize, and I'm like, hey, how do we feel about not playing any more Disney Arcana?
Yeah. What if we just split up this prize? Yeah. I did get $100 for top 16. I was pleasantly happy about that. No points though. There's like a lot of points in the 5K too if you made top 8. It was like kind of a bummer. It was super close to like 30 points at least. I wonder if we get split. No, probably not. Yeah, good time.
Yeah, no, glad to hear about your guys' experience at CCS. Now let's pivot over a little bit, which I think this is a good pivot point, because we just came off of a ranch deck to PPG, where congrats to Sky, he won with a ranch deck.
Yep.
What are your guys' thoughts on that?
Ranch mirror in the finals.
It was.
Yeah, I think it was.
This is the time for my green-blue deck to come back.
It was, or really, it's more so like next week is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think it was really interesting. I think it was like, this is what makes like the 4-deck format kind of interesting, because like you have to like kind of time which of the 4 deck is going to be like the most represented, because you can't build like one deck to beat everything, like all 4 at once, right? You always have to make choices that lose points into one, right? We talk about this all the time. I think it was really interesting because like so many people were like attacking hard for the Blurple decks, because Blurple was the most represented deck at CCS and ended up being again the most represented deck at PVG. Green Blue was the 3rd most represented deck. So like there's a lot of blue in that room, right? And we saw a large number of Amethyst Steel, but it didn't convert at all. Excuse me. And I think it's because all the Amethyst Steel decks and a lot of other decks were attacking so hard for the blue matchup that they cut every card that's good into aggro. And Amber Steel just thrived, Like we talk about like cards like Lilo, right? Like we're like after a while we like weren't like a huge fan of this card, but like it is like a good card against Amber Steel, right? Just naturally, and like the more cards you put in to be good into the blue matchup, you're just going to be way worse into the early mid-game fighting. Like you have to be into Amber Steel, and it dominated, and it was a really good choice. I think the deck decision choices that Sky made set himself up to be super successful. I think he was playing Pete's, which is a card that you need to be playing, I think, to do well into the Steel Mirrors, which he predicted to want to be winning because he was naturally good into the blue stuff as well. It's naturally good into green blue because it stops under the sea. He was also on Troubadour, which I think was actually like the sleeper hit of his whole deck. I think it's like a card that like seems so innocuous, but it is such an unbelievably tempo filled card in like both on the play and on the draw, because it allows you to sing strength on turn 3, before having to wait for your 3-drop to ink to dry. We were practicing that a little bit, and we were just like, wow, this Troubadour actually just like stole the whole game from us. Like, unbelievable.
Yeah.
That was like the part that I was most impressed by.
That's the biggest card that I've seen. That like same thing here. We've been doing a little practicing between Kayla and I at home, and she's a ranch enjoyer. So the moment that I saw that this deck won, I was like, here, I'm building this for you. You'll probably like it. And then obviously she has. But the Troubadour, it's not just like so good at singing, but like it's weirdly just a sticky guy, you know? Like he's just like doesn't get moved super easily all the time. And if you can't kill him, he's gonna get like some amount of lore or just like make a lot of weird pressure on you where you're like, I can't get it off. Like I can't deal with this guy.
Yeah. Like think of it into like Amethyst Steel, right? Where like their 1-drops are like Captain Hook, Palace Guard, and Diablo, and if they if they don't go Hook into Calhoun, their 1 Calhoun actually can't even kill this Palace Guard or kill this Troubadour. So it's just like, whoa, what's it even doing right now? It's great, and then you're ahead on the strength game, which is super key in the Steel Mirrors. It's excellent. I'm a huge fan of it.
I also really liked that he went with Fire the Cannons. Like he went with 3 copies of Fire Cannons in his deck. I think that card, especially after like the illusion versions of Purple Steel kind of hit, and then like all of these like purple deck or the Blurple decks, they're all kind of just like playing like things like Basil and like Royal Guard or Rafiki or something like that to just try to like keep up with you a little bit. So you just kind of like take the leg out from under the table a little bit whenever you get to like kind of fire the cannons those, and then like, you know, you can move on it away if it sucks or something like that. Like just a really good card. Like the deck is great. Honestly, I'm like pretty impressed by it.
It's Big Four for a reason, right? It's one of the Elite Four for going back to Pokemon references.
But let's not forget the real reason why Sky won this tournament. It's because Christian, your flight got delayed and you weren't able to show up.
This is factual. This is actual factual. My missing flight was the butterfly effect for that whole day, let me tell you. Because I was going to go to PPG Denver, but I didn't want to miss work because I'm going to Bologna and Milwaukee in October. So that's like a lot of days off to take off. So I'm like, whatever. I have a 5 a.m. flight to Denver. I'll land at 7 a.m. I can go play. It'll be perfect. And I'll just leave 9:30 p.m. at night on Sunday. Well, when you wake up at 2:30 to get ready to go to the airport and you get an email saying that your flight is delayed by 8 hours, you can't really go to that. That plan gets kiboshed pretty quickly. I did get a refund and a meal voucher. So, you know, who's the real loser?
Going to Bologna and getting a meal involved.
It's okay. You'll get your invite to Nats on another day.
Exactly, yeah, a different CCQ. I'll fly the wee hours in the morning for to go to because I don't want to miss.
Oh yeah, that's another thing too. This PPG Denver was the first CCQ in NA, so
yes, which makes Sky the first person to qualify for the North American Continentals, which is super sweet. That's a cool thing to hold on your belt.
Oh yeah,
for sure. I think the other big thing I wanted to just talk about too is just like this deck winning was a perfect example of what you were talking about earlier too, where it's just like there's so much weird tug of war like kind of going on between, like, yes, we're a 4-deck format, but like how you build any version of those 4 decks is just like so weirdly changes your outcomes, right? Like this is definitely the result of like people just like being like, you know what, I'm gonna beat Blurple, so I can just play like 5 costs or whatever in my deck. You know, I can just play like silly cards and just be greedier, and then you get gone under, and you're like, oh, well, Amber Steel's winning. That's how it goes. So like, I thought that was pretty interesting thing to go back to a little bit.
You know, I kind of on that same line. I kind of like a 4-deck meta. I think for people who are just coming into Arcana now, or who don't have a lot of TCG experience. Like I remember in the early days of Arcana, it was like a 1, maybe a 2 deck meta. Like specifically set 1, it was like all Ruby Amethyst. Set 2, well, some Steel Song towards the end there, and then set 2 it was basically only Ruby Amethyst, and then right at the end you had Blue Steel come in. And I think for the people who were just playing the last set, we were extremely spoiled in the last set where we had so many decks that were viable. And people got to remember too, this is the first set of rotations, and that we have 4 decks that are viable, I think is pretty good, in my opinion.
I sincerely agree with that. I do. It's so weird that we were complaining so much at the end of last format, and I don't miss a lot of things about it. I cannot reiterate that enough. But after playing an ungodly amount of games and testing, I can definitely say, Ravensburger, if you listen to our Low View podcast, please put board wipes back in the game.
No view podcast.
I miss Be Prepared more than certain relatives at this point. It is just like, it is so miserable.
It's true, though.
When your opponent plays like 3 dudes in a turn, and you just go, I guess I lose. Like
It's
Under
true.
the Sea is fine, but it is Teemo Be Prepared at this point, and I just need it back in my life. Like that is my PSA, and that is my like small mini rant.
Yeah.
I just
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with you. I think it's a good thing to have a 4-deck format, because like it's like it gives this illusion. I think like Jafar meta gave the illusion of choice a little bit when you had like 9 or 10 or 11 different decks that you could play, but like they all had such really polarizing matchups. Like some player skill like actually just never mattered because the matchups were that bad. Versus now, like I think there's a lot more player skill involved. I think being good into the mirror match of one of your 4 decks is like a point of like good decision of like, what am I most comfortable to play in the mirror of, if whatever you think that is. And like you said, like just being able to like choose like which of the 4 you want to target a little bit more can help give you an edge. It gives you like that there's skill expression in deck building there, skill expression in playing. It's a good thing. I think there's a couple more decks actually that exist right now that are closer to like the tier 2, like kind of outside of the 4 right now, but they have weird game into like 2 of the big 4, and then like they lose really hard into the other big 4. So like it's not to pivot too early to our next thing, but like to talk about like set champs, I think like some of those are like great suggestions. Like I think Blue Steel is one of them, like a couple different variants. I think Emerald Amber Dog aggro is super good right now. I actually really, really like that deck and where it's positioned. You can make any steel deck work. You can even make Ruby Steel work. So there's still, it's a good meta to have.
I think what you're saying, I actually really, really agree with. I think one of the big things too is people are, I don't know if I'm using this term right, but they're a little bit black-pilled, and that we're all focused so much on like big tournaments, right? Like you have to like pick a deck that works over the course of like 9 rounds or something, 12 rounds for like DLC or whatever. And because we're so close to that, I think people are just so focused on like what is going to consistently get me there. But I do think that I've tested some shenanigans decks definitely lately, and some of them they have the results that you think they would have, and then some of them I've been like really impressed by. But I think it's just like I'd say especially for like set champs is like something where if you're willing to risk it for the biscuit a little bit, you could probably be pleasantly surprised by some of these decks like Blue Steel and even Ruby Amethyst. I mean, as much as I try to resuscitate the corpse of that deck a little bit, it can do some stuff sometimes. It can definitely do some stuff sometimes. But
it's really good in the Amber Steel.
Before we get into set champs, we do got to talk about a little event that's happening before then. DLC Bologna. Just a little event.
DLC Meatball, as some of us like to say.
So yours truly and Christian, we're gonna be heading to Bologna in the next couple weeks here, hoping to get our invites and I guess we have to go back to Europe when we get our invites there, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you make day 2 and can qualify for European Continentals, you can probably afford at that point to come back to the Continentals. You know what I mean?
Right? No, I'm super excited for
Yeah.
this. This is going to be my first time in Europe, so it should be a lot of fun. Same to you too. Okay. Yeah, we're gonna hopefully be vlogging our trip there, so look out for that on this channel. And yeah, don't forget to go ahead and just like and subscribe now, so you guys can stay up to date when we are traveling through Europe and hopefully make it back home with gold Mickeys.
You don't want to miss the pasta live streams that we'll have periodically every day.
That's awesome. Now,
Fun fact: one of my favorite foods in the world is bolognese, and if I'm correct, that is where it originated from.
Mm-hmm.
So how am I not going to have bolognese at least once in Bologna?
Oh yeah, we got.
If he's incorrect, you can correct him in the comments. And, like, just like call him names.
Hopefully, it's better than having a Philly cheesesteak in Philadelphia.
Yo, the shade at Philadelphia is crazy, but you're still right.
Yeah.
Traditional cheesesteaks are just an abomination. Sorry, Philadelphia. Actual trash.
Oh my goodness.
Not gonna
this is gonna be what gets the podcast canceled. This is it.
All the Philadelphia.
I don't know if you've heard of Philadelphia, but they don't take things lightly about anything over there. I'm pretty sure
they don't. Well, actually, they do. They take their quality of cheesesteaks lightly. Unfortunately, they had so much pride, and they've actually fallen just on their faces.
Team Arcana warfare against Philadelphia is crazy. You watch out, Philadelphia. We're coming for you.
Inkyapper. That's what it is now. They're all based in Philly.
All right, Nate, clip it, send it, ship it. We're putting that out there.
Yeah.
They'll all agree with me too. I know they will.
Fight Philadelphia.
All right, so that's what's happening with the team. We're heading to Bologna, and then another thing that's happening is set champs. We'll end off this podcast talking about set champs. So that's also happening concurrently with Bologna that first weekend, and then throughout the month. How are you guys feeling? Kind of for me, it feels like it's coming so quickly. But
yeah,
so we're only like a month and a half in.
Been in the same boat that like set champs are coming up like crazy. I mean, it's like 2 weeks away already. Mm-hmm. And I've been, like I said, testing like a madman. Mostly, it's so weird to think like this format is so new feeling that you're like trying to figure it out. We technically got 4 decks, and you're like, all right, one of the 4 makes sense. What build of that makes sense? And you're like all over the place. And on top of that, it's I think for me, as somebody who has a DLC ticket for Milwaukee, not Bologna, because I'm not getting meatballs. You guys are getting meatballs, but I've been like so focused on that. I've been like, just yesterday, I was like, what are people gonna play locally? Like an hour away from here, I'm like, what do people even play? Like in Minnesota, so it'll be really interesting to kind of get a vibe of that. I know I'm playing the first weekend of set champs, and hopefully I can take one down because they're a little bit softer because you guys are busy eating meatballs and touristing it up a little bit.
2 people. two people gone. That's it.
Yeah, dude, it's enough. Only like actually, Vo being gone might make it worse for me because, like I said, every time I play against Vo, I always have like a favorable matchup, and I like high roll him, and I'm like, oh man. But no, so it'll be interesting. I've definitely done a lot of practice, a lot of different decks. I think I've got like 2 in mind that I'm probably mostly gonna play, at least for the first weekend. I think I like me some Sapphire decks. It'll be hard to get me off of them, despite people probably just like jamming little aggro dudes and me being sad after a little bit, but we're gonna try to get a play.
Sapphire Steel. It's like make them sad they're jamming aggro dudes. I've played Tinkerbell 4.
I have played an abnormal amount of Sapphire Steel, like compared to a lot of people. I feel like it is so much fun. Like I have a picture on my phone of my wife. She played it at our locals, and she was playing against me. We were the final round, and she has a hand of like 18 cards or something silly, and I'm just like, oh my god, like I can't beat this. Like Scar is so sick with Alice. So there's definitely some serious options for set champs especially. But we'll
definitely.
Hopefully we'll get a mat the first weekend, and then I can start to like just mess around and play whatever I feel like playing.
How much do you think the card and the mat are going to be like going for? That's what I want to. I'm curious to hear your guys' thoughts because traditionally the set champs cards lately have been like pittering down to like sometimes the card isn't even worth the entry fee. You know what I mean?
So
I can't picture this being the case though.
I'll let Vo go first on this one.
Yeah, no, thanks. So like we heard in their in one of their Arcana, oh my gosh, I'm gonna butcher the name now. The Ink Podcast, the official Arcana
Lorecast.
Lorecast. That's what we're
Got
talking
you.
about.
I got
They were saying there was a little bit of a disconnect when they were designing these set champs, the cards and everything, and that's why the last few of them have been feeling kind of weird. But starting with this one, you know, it's a very meta relevant card. I guess not in this current meta, but it's Maleficent Dragon's been played so much in the past, and I can only see it being played more in the future as we get, you know, more options and game slows down even more. This card's going to at least be in the $50 to $100 range, if not more eventually, depending on how much Maleficent Dragon is played. And the playmat is probably going to be the most sought after playmat in a long time, because another big fan favorite character in Maleficent, it's a dragon. People love dragons, and the colors just look amazing. So I think this was a
gorgeous, man.
home run, grand slam design.
Oh, he liked it so much he died.
I think he might have obliterated himself on accident. Hopefully,
Dude, his router could not handle getting second place again.
Oh no,
dude.
Oh,
dude, this one is gonna feel bad to get second place on. Dude, this one.
Yeah.
I love this playmat. If like, I can't see people just like being super chill at these either. Like, it's gonna be like hyper competitive, which I'm kind of excited about, because I know. Did you guys all get to go to DLCs last season? I know Vo went to.
Yep.
Yeah. So obviously I did not, but it'll be really nice to use these as like some practice leading up to it, especially because as I've said many times, the group of tournament organizers, I assume they have some sort of group chat somewhere where they look at my work schedule, and then they always like schedule the big tournaments on weekends at work. And so I have only so much time off that I can use, but so I'm excited to hopefully use these to kind of like tune some stuff, lock in a little bit, and figure out what I'm actually gonna play for like the big one, you know.
Yeah.
We'll be playing a lot of set champs as much as we can.
I'm hoping to go to at least one when Christian's in Bologna.
Yeah.
I have not decided what I'm gonna play.
Yeah.
We don't have a spreadsheet yet.
Yeah.
So AJ, so AJ is a blessing to the Minnesota
Amber
community.
Ruby
Let me
songs.
tell you what, that guy does incredible work, because I had to do my own work yesterday when I was looking up what set champs are going to be going on, and I was like, man, I love the spreadsheets guy. I hope he's doing well, because AJ is great.
Bro, dude, we're such silver spoon babies now because of AJ that like, I won't even look. If the spreadsheet doesn't exist, I'm assuming set champs for canceled lessons. Like, what else are we gonna do? Like, what am I gonna do? Look all these up? Nah, AJ can do it better than I can.
Yeah.
You know, I trust in AJ.
Shout out to AJ. He's incredible. He does.
Yeah, no, I do a lot of work with AJ, so we're trying to get stores to stagger their events. And we're hoping some of the days we can get like 2 events started, like one earlier in the day and one just a little bit later. So, you know, if you're not doing too hot in the morning, you can fly over.
So I go to 2 set champs on the same day. When you're in Bologna.
Well, can we at least try to do that in the middle of October so that those of us not going to DLCs can go to 2 maybe in one day?
Not to roast my locals so hard, but I did have to remind one of them when set champs were, and they scheduled it on the spot of me reminding it, and I thought that was hilarious. I was like, all right, so don't do it the last weekend, because I'm gonna be gone for Milwaukee, and they go, all right, how about this one? And I'm like, yes.
Yeah. That's the stuff.
It's gonna be interesting. Like, in the worst case scenario, I suppose like me and Christian will only see 4 set champs ourselves, since we're gonna be in Bologna and Milwaukee, which they're all on set championship weekends, but
you
gotta go with the strat that I've been memeing that I'm gonna do. You go 0-3 at the DLC, leave, and go find a local set champ.
Dude, that's a very real thing that's gonna happen if that's what happens. Like, I'm gonna be like, all right, Bologna.
I'm not earning prize wall tickets. I'm getting a Maleficent.
Oh yeah, never mind.
Yeah.
I lied.
But,
There's
like-
too much. There's too much value on the prize wall at the DLC. So
Yeah, especially the first one.
Yeah, I'll be hardcore grinding side events if I'm not doing well in the main
Mhm.
event, which absolutely could be the case.
I'm not
Better
even
be 10
putting
and
that
2
out
for the
there. I'm not
bubble.
even putting that out there. I'm just gonna like win. I've manifested that I will be a Golden Mickey winner first DLC. I've said it already.
first DLC. All right.
Dude,
Yeah, I'm just gonna have some fantastic top decks, and we'll be all good.
That's all you need sometimes. All you need. Play good and get lucky. That's
all these,
it's good
all
enough
these
sometimes.
incredible people out here like relying on skill and stuff like that. Nah, man, I don't even play a turn ahead. I barely play the turn I'm playing, dude. I just top deck and go big card, go.
Oh,
But all right, guys. With that, we are coming to an hour, which is where we like to keep the length of our podcast here. So we'll just like to thank everybody again for listening or watching wherever you're consuming the podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe again. We're gonna have some different content coming up. Sorry, words are hard. I only play TCGs, so but like and subscribe. We're gonna have vlogs, more podcasts coming, and with that, thanks everybody for watching.
Team Arcana out.
Take care.